and you're now tuned into the I Don't Know Hoop Podcast Season 2. Oh shoot, I don't got the light. What's good, y'all? Forget the light. What's good, everybody, though? Welcome back to another episode of the I Don't Know Hoop Podcast. I appreciate everybody who's tapped in thus far with the new season. On today's episode, we got a couple things I want to talk about. We're going to talk about the NBA season that's transpiring and what my thoughts on what's going to happen are. We also going to talk about the NBA tournament a little bit, and we're going to touch up on my Lakers before rounding up and finishing the top 25. Leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe. I guess we could get started right away with what I predict the NBA season is going to look like. For starters, I think that Phoenix might be outside of the top three depending on how Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant's health is, but I think they will be well equipped for the playoffs, and I think we'll see them have a deep playoff run. It kind of depends on their health though, like I said, because I think Devin Booker is fine enough to hold up for 60 games, but I do like the talent that they have out in Phoenix. I like the acquisitions that they made after the fact that they went to go get Bradley Beal. I like the trade that they made to acquire Nasir Little, to acquire Grayson Allen. Those were key pivotal pieces for their bench. They got Watanabe. I like Phoenix's roster a lot more than I did when they initially made the trade for Bradley Beal. A couple more of those pieces can show out for them here and there. They have Bates Diop. They have a couple guys that can defend, like Okogie as well. So I'm not too scared of what's going to happen on the other side of the court for them, as long as those guys can give valuable 15 minutes here and there. I didn't get to catch much of the preseason. I only really got to catch the Laker game, so I'm not sure what the lineup was for them initially or what they announced their starting five was officially going to be. But it's going to be really interesting to see Booker run the point. I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to seeing what the lineups are going to look like without the starting five. We know that Phoenix is probably going to have their best five be their starting five due to the fact that the other depth players aren't multi-dimensional players. No offense to those guys. So, in the grand scheme of things, I'm expecting a lot of lineups where Booker is going to be the one, and that's going to be interesting to see. But I'm also interested in seeing what they're going to do during stretches of games. What's going to be their favorite bench lineup to go to? Who's going to be the sixth man? Because at the moment, I can't really tell you who it is. I'm going to go ahead and look at the roster a little bit deeper real fast, but I'm not necessarily missing anything off the top of my head. Eric Gordon's cool. He's a good shooter. Again, not somebody that's multi-dimensional, especially at his age. Damian Lee, again, good hustle guy, but not multi-dimensional. So a lot of guys that can like really fill the roles and really like complete the 8-man rotation. Is Vogel gonna open up the lineup, or is he gonna keep it 8-7-man rotation? Vogel is notoriously known for bad offenses, but with these guys, I think this team is going to be capable of being a floater offense. Matter of fact, I think they'll be fine offensively, especially if they just play within the 5-out, 401 principles of modern basketball. They'll be okay. Now, is he going to make this defense great? We'll see. There's no standout defensive player on this roster, so we got to see whether the pieces that they have around them are going to make it work. But I like the team in general. I don't think they're going to be top three because I don't think they're going to win the conference, though. Going to the next team on the Pacific Division, we got the Golden State Warriors. I don't think they're the team that's going to be top three either, but they're going to probably take a couple wins from them here and there. They might be the top 6 seed, depending on how Chris Paul looks like. Jordan Poole was the ultimate X factor in this team, in my opinion, with an aging Klay Thompson dealing with those injuries that he had, and then also just with Andrew Wiggins not really taking that next step on this offense that I thought he could take. I thought we were going to see him transform back to a 20-point per game scorer, and that just hasn't transpired. So if he's still going to be like 2B to the Splash Bros, then I don't really buy the Warriors being that great. But I think they'll give a team like Phoenix a run for their money due to the fact that they can go up and down with them, for example. Clippers, Sacramento, this division is tough. You can easily say that all 5 of these teams can make the playoffs. I'm pretty sure they did last year. All 5 of the teams in the Pacific Division made the playoffs last year. I'm gonna go ahead and show bias in this episode. Again, I don't know hoop, so these aren't educated opinions, but I do think the Lakers come out on top. And I think we just best these teams due to the fact that our depth is just overall more balanced than these teams. I talked about how Phoenix's core is more so one-dimensional outside of their big 3 and maybe Nurkic. The Clippers just aren't always healthy. It's either Paul George or Kawhi is injured. And then with Golden State, I'm just not much of a believer in their front court when it comes to their presence in terms of guarding other teams. Aside from maybe Sacramento, Phoenixes of the world, it's going to be really tough for them to guard the interior. And they don't have an offensive explosive player off the dribble aside from Steph Curry now. So we'll see how Chris Paul fills in, like I said. But until then, he's 42. So, I'm not buying the Warrior stock by no means. But Steph Curry's really good at basketball, so they'll be in the mix. But I really do think the Lakers just have the overall more balanced roster out of all these teams in the Pacific Division 1, and maybe except Denver. We have a guard rotation now that's decent. Nobody's a superstar, but everybody excels in their role. D'Angelo can excel as a scoring guard. Austin Reeves excels as a secondary or third playmaker. And then Gabe Vincent, same thing applies. Good secondary, third playmaker on a team that was just in the championship. So our guard play is solid. We can't really complain about the wing play when we have LeBron James at the end of the day. So Vanderbilt and Rui Hachimura get the job done in that aspect. And then I guess Max Christie also might have minutes in that wing role, which if he's gonna spot up, I'm here for it. And then AD at the 5 is scary for the league. I hope he plays the 5 and he's committed to playing the 5. It's not like he can't though. We have Christian Wood and Jackson Hayes, so you kind of got to do your thing. I hope that AD just keeps the mentality that he had last season of just attacking the interior and really making it hard for players to guard him as well as it is to score him, because then that's just when he's on point, he's really probably a top 5 player in this league. I like our chances. The only team that I don't like our chances against is Jokic. If it's not Steph Curry, I think Jokic is the best player in the NBA, which I'll get more into later. So just the fact that Nikola's still out west with Jamal Murray playing the way he's playing now, coming back from the injury and entering his prime. I talked about it briefly on the side, but Jamal Murray hasn't gotten worse at basketball, really. He's only gotten better, so it's going to be scary to see what he can do this next season, especially as a playmaker, because the run he had as a playmaker in the playoffs was sensational. We only really seen Magic give more than 10 assists a night and win a championship. So, that's just crazy stuff. Guard Academy approves. Who else is out west? Memphis needs to be healthy. I think the Ja Morant thing is going to be a big deal early, especially because this Memphis team has proven not to be composed in pivotal moments. You would like for them to replicate the no Ja minutes that they've done the past 2 years, but they don't have Tyus Jones no more. It's now Derrick Rose. So I don't know how sustainable that is. I think people underrate the loss of Tyus Jones. for them. With that being said, it's going to be interesting to see what they do as well and how they shape up. Will Desmond Bain step up and get like 25 a night now that there's no Ja out there? They're probably a team that's really interesting to me. Another team that can be interesting as well is the Pelicans. If Zion's healthy, that's a top 5 team in probably basketball, at least from what I've seen the past 2 years. The problem is Zion's just not healthy. Last year, they for sure had a case of being the best team in the NBA before he fell off. And it would be good to see them finally put it together because they have a good roster. CJ McCollum as your third option, you can't really go wrong. And I like Brandon Ingram's game still. I'm still holding Brandon Ingram stock. The Mavericks could be a sneaky team to shock the people, especially with how they ended the season last season with no wing depth. The addition of Grant Williams actually kind of helps a lot, despite the fact that it's just Grant Williams for real. Not to disrespect Grant Williams' game or anything, but he's not really a player that's multi-dimensional. He's just a 3-and-D guy. But the Mavericks need a personnel out there on the court like that. They need his skill set and his archetype out there desperately. So I think him plugging in that role is a big deal. Maybe Tim Hardaway Jr. bounces back, but I'm not really the biggest Tim Hardaway Jr. fan. But I do like what Kyrie and Luka could do on the court with each other for 82 games. I think that's scary. If they put it all together and figure it out and get in rhythm and everything, and now that they have Grant Williams, a wing player that can like actually do something that's not Reggie Bullock or something, I think it changes things, and I think that changes the dynamic of this team a little bit, but we'll see. The West is tough. There's a lot of good teams out West this year, especially due to the fact that teams made those trades mid-season. It's a lot of competition out West. You have the Thunder still. Those young cats are building what they're building over there. Utah's well coached. They were well disciplined, and they shocked a lot of teams last year. If they are still in the mix this season, it wouldn't shock me. Like I said, they're well coached. I'm not too scared of the Timberwolves, but Anthony Edwards could have his I'm here moment for real. That could change the dynamic of the Western Conference within itself. I like what the West can be out there for sure. I mean, I think the East is fine too, but this year I think the West got it in terms of like overall talent, just because more teams now have more depth out there. You still have Wembanyama playing for the Spurs, so that's going to be tough to see 4 times a night. It's not going to be easy playing out in the Western Conference by no means. It's going to be more so of that scramble type records we've seen where we only saw like 2 teams get like 50 wins, in my opinion, but that's more so this time due to the talent being there as opposed to a lot of the teams having filler. Out East, we know what the deal is with Milwaukee and Boston. I think we can agree that those 2 teams are probably 2 of the 3 best teams in the NBA due to what they did, at least on paper. We can't really say on the court yet because we haven't seen anything, but if I were to put my money on it, it would either be the Bucks or the Celtics to win the championship. The Bucks got universally better offensively, which is something they needed desperately. I'm not sure if Drew Holiday's defense hurts them that much, considering the fact that now Giannis has so much floor spacing to attack off the dribble one-on-one and really make people pay. He's going to treat it like the All-Star game now. It's not going to be a pack paint. You can't play pack paint defense with Dame out there. Especially if Chris Middleton's back in the groove of things, you can't do that. This team is going to be too deadly. And though they've been notoriously known for they've been known for their defense, I don't think that it's going to really matter if their defense takes a little hit due to the fact that it's Damian Lillard that's going to be playing with Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's tough. They did lose some pieces here and there, so their team lacks depth, and that can be the scary factor going into the playoff series, because unless Giannis is clocking in 40 and is healthy and doesn't have a freak of nature injury, this team is going to really need another piece, in my opinion. Boston's still kind of deep, even with the trades that they made. They still have a starting 5 and 2 rotational players. I think this is the year Peyton Pritchard takes that next step and shocks people. Peyton Pritchard is actually pretty efficient, and I think he can get the job done already as is. So I think he just going to be out to show it next season. If there were any team that can compete with these two, it's the Heat, due to their culture and Spoelstra. But I don't think Jimmy and Bam is enough firepower. We kind of saw how fluky the playoff run felt for everybody as a viewer, especially when it came down to NBA Finals basketball. So I just don't think it's something that can be replicated again. I think Milwaukee's just too dynamic offensively for whatever Spoelstra has defensively, and I think Boston can come with more engagement into these games. And if they just get out of their heads and play basketball in an efficient way, they'll get the job done. So I can't see Caps doing anything seriously, though they have a pretty decent team. They still didn't answer their wing depth problem. I don't think Max Strus and Gorgie Niang is the answer, no matter how much JJ Redick tries to say it. That's just my opinion, though. I don't know basketball, so. But the Sixers, they have their dilemma with James Harden. I don't know where James Harden's going to be at. That's also something that's going to change the dynamic of this whole NBA predictions things, where Harden goes. But regardless, I don't think Harden is going to be playing for Philly, so I think it's going to rift the dynamic of the team as is a little bit, especially if they're not going to get a piece from him right away. I don't think that Philly, as constructed, nor if they pull off a trade for Harden and get the asset they need to contend, can outdo Milwaukee or Boston in a 7-game series. I think that's a tough ask for them. I just think the teams out east have a tough assignment in general when it comes to those two teams, but I do like Orlando's chances of actually making the playoffs this season. Look for Trae Young to respond to the critics as well and put on a clinic in the postseason. I think that's bound to happen because Atlanta's not good enough to make the postseason. There's not too much action out east, in my opinion. I think everything is out west. I know I was adamant on the East's improvements, but this season is not the season for them. No team really got better, but Milwaukee and Boston kind of got better as well. I'm not too sure how much they got better, but they did get better. They did give up a lot of their core, but I mean, their guard position is stronger now with Drew Holiday. And like I said, I believe in Peyton Pritchard. I think he's gonna give them quality minutes. He's already proven to have given them quality minutes before. So I think he's just, with more volume, we're gonna see more Peyton Pritchard games where we're like, oh snap, he could hoop. The Knicks are cool, but y'all know me, I'm not sold on Julius as a number one option. Just never going to be until I see it. But they did make the second round, so we'll see with them. It's no real teams out there that's too scary. The Pacers can make a little bit of noise. The Bulls, yeah, y'all get the gist of it. I wanted to talk about the NBA tournament that's gonna happen in between these things real quick before I finish off my top 25 and go on and talk about my Lakers. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'm still not hip on the entire basis of how it goes, but I'm pretty sure it's just basically emulating soccer from what I understand. Um, I just think there's unnecessary amount of games. They need to cut the season if they want to do gimmicks like this. I don't know if they noticed, but they players get injured a lot in the NBA. So, I mean, if you want to add more injuries to the list, then I mean, go ahead add more games. But I just think that teams, if they were going to play a tournament, they could do less regular season games. I don't think we need to see every team play each other. For example, if this is going to be in the midst of an NBA season. But now we still have to see every team play each other, and we have to see teams potentially match up again in the little bracket tournament thing. It kind of defeats the purpose of the whole step to the playoffs. And whereas I guess December, January basketball is where we kind of see teams thrive and see what they're made of, I personally would prefer to see the NBA making an extraneous effort to make less games happen and to focus on the physicality of the game and how they can improve that, so we can get Kawhi Leonard playing every night, for example. Not to say that Kawhi is going to play every night, because injuries will still happen, but I think spreading out the season is probably a little bit more of a better answer to the problems than just throwing in more games in the midst of it. They already have a problem with like scheduling crazy back-to-backs and the whole 5 games, 7 nights thing that some teams end up having in their schedule due to the scheduling conflict that the NBA kind of has, cramming it up into 6-7 months of basketball. I'm not the biggest fan of a tournament play. I'm not a fan of the play-in either. I guess I'm old school, but like it seems to me that the more they try to add onto the games, and it just ends up being basketball that's like, I don't know, it just ends up being filler, like filler in anime. It's just there, like you gotta just skim through the couple episodes of some basketball games just because of these new gimmicky things. But maybe the tournament might come with intensity because players want to get recognized, and there may be bonuses and things like that, incentives in people's contracts where if they do good in the tournament or whatever, they get paid. So maybe that will make it competitive and bring the spirits of it. I just wish that if they were to do it, they'd focus on the dilemma of the whole 82 games thing. It's a lot of games. It's just a lot of games. With the playoffs too, they really be spamming games. They play like 50 max in Europe, bro. Like the NBA is like double that. I don't know. Ooh, but I guess that's kind of how it makes the game fun though too. I just don't want to see playoff series where star players aren't playing no more. And obviously they can do something to try and fix it instead of trying to make people like play basketball more and as frequently as possible. Because if people are hurt and if people can't go, then these rules and these things that they're applying to make the incentive to play more is just pointless. But that's just my opinion on what the NBA is doing and their whole transitioning thing. I'm sure we'll see a 4-point line before the NBA fixes anything for real. I just think there's bigger problems to fry than the entertainment and shock value that they can provide in the middle of an 82-game season. I just think that eventually the tournament's just going to be another tournament. It's just going to be like, oh, we're playing. Like, you know how when you in high school and you play the beginning of the season tournaments to go on ahead and play against your conference? It's kind of just like that. You're just playing games to play games. So we'll see who's going to be NBA tournament MVP, though. My money's on a guy like Sabonis, who dives in regular season, or James Harden. My money's on James Harden winning the tournament MVP and having his fan base going crazy. He should be on a roster by then, playing basketball. A little bit earlier, I talked about the Lakers being my favorite to win the Pacific Division. That's very tough. It had all 5 teams in the postseason last year, and probably will again this year. I talked briefly about how balanced we were. I want to talk about how we looked in the preseason. I didn't get to catch the latter half of the preseason games, I'm not gonna lie to you, but I did like the energy we came out with offensively. Defensively, we're gonna need to get back into the groove of things and get back in tune. So Anthony Davis' job isn't as hard as it was last season, but offensively, if we're gonna play that engaged and if we're gonna be looking to try and play efficient basketball every time down the court, I think that's a plus. I think the continuity we have on the team as well is a plus, despite the fact that we did get swept and we did lose, and none of the acquisitions we made were super big, but I think the continuity aspect of what we're building is going to help us finally build culture, which is something the Lakers have missed for quite some time. What teams like Boston, teams like Miami have had over us over like the past like decade and some change now is really the culture they've instilled. They're not just trying to buy and sell teams. Like, they actually are committed to what their roster has in front of them and are looking to add pieces accordingly here and there. So I think now that we are kind of on the brink of doing such, we can compete a lot of times. I'm not necessarily saying the Lakers can win the championship this year, but I'm saying that it could potentially happen. I still like Denver more than us a little bit when it comes to that due to the matchups. At the end of the day, we still don't got nobody for Jamal Murray. We still don't got nobody really for Jokic if Anthony Davis isn't going to be the answer. So, it's tough. It's tough. There's no real answer for Jokic, though. It's not in the NBA. He's just too tough. Even if you guard him and clamp him up, he's just going to make the right play like every single time and get you into foul trouble because he's still that skilled and crafty with the pill in his hands. And he's good at attacking angles and has crazy footwork and can dribble like a guard, shoot like a guard, post up like prime bigs. Like, he's offensively speaking, we haven't seen nothing like this from a big, in my opinion. Just the overall skill set, not all-time status, not better than Shaq stuff. No, but just his skill set is very unique and it's honestly one of a kind. It's gonna birth a lot of good basketball though, especially because a lot of the kids should be looking to attack with the back of the basket with a lot of the space that goes on in the NBA. You see how Nikola Jokic can really manipulate defenses in the post, and it's still super effective. So it's gonna spawn a lot of good basketball. I just think that they're too tough to contain with a dynamic duo of that. They still got KCP, the young guys, Watson, Braun. They could still show out and fill that next spot because they did lose Bruce Brown. But I don't think that that's big of a deal. Still got Aaron Gordon. Michael Porter Jr. still young. He could take another leap. This team's really nice. And then I think we can be better than Phoenix, like I said, but Phoenix is on our tail. You gotta watch for the Clippers if they're healthy, but they're never healthy, so I'm snoozing. Dallas is a scary team because we don't have an answer for Luka Doncic. But other than that, like, really, what team has an answer for LeBron and AD when they're doing their thing? So I like our chances this year. I like my Lakers. I also want to give a shout out to. Who do I want to give a shout out to? I want to give a shout out to my boy Tari and Prince. I didn't really respect the signing, but this preseason he did show that he do want to play. He do want to get minutes. So if he comes in games with that intensity and can knock down the shot, he can go on ahead and keep playing for us. Shout out to Torian Prince. And shout out D-Lo too, because D-Lo did come out aggressive as well in the preseason. He didn't treat it lightly. He treated it as if it was go time. Yeah, I like that energy. I know I'm a tough critic. I don't know why I criticize, right? But I'm just really just observing what I see, and if D-Lo can come with that intensity night in, night out, and make sure that defensively he's at least positionally playing good, then I'm not necessarily mad at it. You know, I like the energy D-Lo's coming with. I don't know why a former All-Star wants to be Derek White, though. Let me just say that. I did see that clip. I just want to say I don't know why a former All-Star wants to be Derek White, but I digress. That's about it, though. That's about it for my Lakers, though. I think we're going to win about 50 games. I think 48 safe. 48 in the third seed, maybe the second. We need home court advantage bad so we can capitalize. We didn't get to capitalize last season because we're going on the road every series, and of all places to go to Western Conference Finals, we're going to Denver. So home court advantage would be ideal. Hopefully Darvin Ham could figure out key rotations and put guys in the right position and nip bad tendencies in the butt early so we can have a disciplined defense. I don't see why we can't have a top 10 defense with LeBron and AD if LeBron is as good as y'all say he is in year 21. I think we should be able to get the job done. I think we could be top 10 both in offense and defense. I think that's capable of this team. I don't know if it happens. We'll see, but I think it's not impossible. Even with D'Angelo Russell and us three at the backcourt, I still think Vanderbilt, I think Roy when he's engaged ish. I think with Gabe Vincent off the bench, I think with Anthony Davis anchoring the interior, and I think with LeBron being as smart as ever for a basketball player, I think we can get the job done. I'm gonna list out my top 25 for y'all real quick, and then we're basically out of here. Thank y'all for tuning in to the YouTube for real. That's a pause, by the way. I gotta stop doing that with the mic, but moving on from that though. At 25, this is gonna be the first time in the top 25 list you're gonna have two players. We got Darius Garland for 25B. And then 25A, we got Pascal Siakam. I guess I just forgot Darius Garland because, yeah, that playoff series really hurt me. At 24, I got De'Aaron Fox. At 23, I got Shea. I know I said I messed with the pick, but let's be for real. Shea, we can see another season. If Bradley Beal wasn't top 10 for getting 30, we could see another season from Gilgeous-Alexander. We could see one more season from SGA before we do it, right? 22, Anthony Edwards. 21, Damian Lillard. 20, I got Bam. 19, Donovan Mitchell. 18, I got Jaylen Brown. 17, I got Trae Young. 16, I got Jamal Murray. 15, I got Ja Morant. 14, I got Zion. 13, I got LeBron. 12, I got Paul George. 11, I got Jimmy Butler. 10, I got Devin Booker. 9, I got Anthony Davis. 8, I got Joel Embiid. 7, I got Kevin Durant. 6, I got Kawhi Leonard. 5, I got Luka Doncic. 4, I got Jason Tatum. 3, I got Giannis. 2, I got Jokic, and then Steph for the best player in the league to me. Before we get out of here, I'm gonna share with y'all my fantasy teams real quick. I kind of like what I did. Alright, so this one was, I fell asleep for like 2 of them. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I put my money in a lot of fantasy basketball for like no reason this year, just for like content's sake, so we can like keep up with how my teams are doing. Let me peek real quick, cause this is the first time I'm doing fantasy basketball in like a long time too. Like I haven't played fantasy basketball in like forever, but my teams aren't that bad though. Let me pull it up real quick. Hold on. Oh, so all right. I had the first pick, right? I had the first pick in this one. It was for 25. So the winner get the whole pot. I picked up Nikola Jokic for the first pick. I got De'Aaron Fox, Maxey, Jalen Williams. I got Wemby on the squad. I got Wemby and Jokic. I got Jamal Murray, Wagner, Jonas Valanciunas. I got Anunoby. I got Michael Porter Jr., RJ Barrett, Jabari Smith, and Malcolm Brogdon for this one. That one was fly. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Cause, bro, if Wemby end up eating, bro, my team is gonna be that, bro. I just need Wemby to get all them blocks and get. He not gonna get 10 rebounds. I ain't even gonna hold you. I've seen enough tape, but Wemby look nice. If you can get 18 with like 4 blocks in there, bro, like on some Nick Claxton last year stuff. Boy, look here, boy. I ought to tell you, ooh wee, that shit gonna be crazy. Hey, bro, I hope he do it, bro. I hope he do it. And then for this one's for 25 too. I got Luka Doncic for this one. I got Luka, Jamal Murray again, Jalen Williams again, Larry Marketing, Franz Wagner again, Holmgren, Jabari Smith again, Jalen Duren, CJ McCollum with Clarkson, Rob, and Fultz. I ain't gonna lie, I fell asleep on the wheel. That's how Jalen Duren got there. He got picked high too on my fantasy board, but I like the minutes he gave. So this one, that one I got faith in, but on the back end, we might have to pick up a couple players. The first one, though, I have stupid confidence in. And this one, I super fell asleep on the wheel. It's kind of nasty, I ain't gonna lie to you, but this one could still do some damage, though. It's not that nasty. We just, we got Dame, we got Desmond Bane, we got Van Fleet, we got Jason Tatum, Jimmy Butler, Jalen Williams, Jared Allen, Walker Kessler, Drew Holiday, Cam Johnson, D'Lo, Jordan Clarkson, and Benedict Mathurin. Bro, I didn't mean to pick up Fred VanVleet. I didn't mean to pick up Cam Johnson. I didn't mean to pick up some of these guys, but it's not too bad though. It's solid. It was an auto pick, but it was pretty solid. Jimmy Butler was a pretty late pick, but he's still gonna put up fantasy points as long as he plays. So I like that one. Desmond Bane has eye upside because there's no job for like several games. So like that pick was cool too. I can't be mad at it. I might be probably trying to sell high on Desmond Bane though, eventually as the season progresses. But yeah, those are my fantasy teams though, foolies. Appreciate y'all for watching and tuning in. It's been your boy IDK Hoop for real. Much love. Subscribe, all that good stuff.